माननीय मुख्यमंत्री ममता जी, the very celebrated and distinguished guests on the dais, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar. অনেক পুরনো কথা মনে পড়ে যায়। তাই আবার আপনাদের কাছে এসেছি। আপনাদের জামাই, এইবার আপনাদের মেয়ে, আমার বউ জয়াকে নিয়ে বড়দের আশীর্বাদ ও ছোটদের ভালোবাসা চাইতে। This is my second visit to the International Film Festival of Kolkata, and I'd like to express my extreme gratitude to the Honorable Chief Minister for extending this invitation to me, giving me pride of place, great honor, and the privilege of being in the company of the most passionate and loving audiences that I have ever experienced in any part of the world. Onek onek dhonnobad. Ladies and gentlemen, international film festivals such as the one we are all present at today gives lovers of cinema the opportunity to witness and applaud works of the greats from not just different parts of the country but indeed from the entire international community. The varied styles and presentations of their stories educate us about their culture and ethics. They draw us into debate and discussion and leave us in appreciation of their creativity. The inspiration for most works of cinema has to me been the contribution made by the written word. Writers, therefore, hold in my very limited opinion the most important key to a finished and creditable product. It can be said without doubt that the written word and the lyrical quality of the language of Bengal has always found recognition the world over. Bengali literature, Banglar Shohitya, its poetry, Banglar Kobita, সবাইকে মুগ্ধ করে দেয়, has mesmerized all that have been exposed to it. Vijendra Lal Ray's popular song, glorifying the land, may be known to many. ধনধান্যে পুষ্পে ভরা আমাদের এই বসুন্ধরা, তার মাঝে আছে যে এক সকল দেশের সেরা, ও সে স্বপ্ন দিয়ে তৈরি, সে যে স্মৃতি দিয়ে ঘেরা। এমন দেশটি কোথাও খুঁজে পাবে না কো তুমি, সকল দেশের রানী সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি। It becomes imperative, therefore, to recognize and tabulate on this auspicious occasion of the opening of the International Film Festival in Kolkata the groundbreaking cinema history of Bengal, to acknowledge and pay obeisance to the fact that its films have been enriched with abundant examples from local literature, epics, classical stories, and folklore. Films that have not only reflected urgent social realities, but also given Bengalis their splendid intellectual identity and egalitarian attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, the first silent Bengali film, released in March 1917, in a temporary tent here in the Kolkata Maidan, was Satyavadi Raja Harishchand, a black and white feature film based on Hindu mythology and directed by Rustamji Dhotiwala. The film is also credited as the earliest remake in Indian cinema, as it was a recreation of the first Indian feature film, Raja Harishchand, which was made by Dada Saheb Phalke in 1913. Throughout the silent film era, there are many examples of plots based on well-loved mythological tales as well as traditional fiction. You had Rustam Dhotiwala once again dipping into the epics to make Mahabharat in 1920, and Jyotish Bandyopadhyay making Vishnu Avatar and Dhruvo that same year, followed by Nala Damayanti in collaboration with the Italian director Eugenio di Ligioro. In 1921, Bankim Chand Chatterjee's Krishna Kanter Will, mounted in 1927, and Durgesh Nandini and Kapal Kundala, filmed in 1929, were also pioneering movies of that early period. A perusal of the silent films during the 1920s reveals a variety of subjects based either on the classics or the writings of the big three of Bengali literature, Rabindranath Tagore, Sharat Chand Chatterjee, and Bankim Chand Chatterjee. Tagore's play Bisarjan was the foundation for Naval Gandhi's much acclaimed 1928 feature film Balidan, which was showcased by the Indian Cinematograph Committee to demonstrate that serious Indian cinema could match Western standards. Tagore, apart from being a Nobel Prize winner for literature, was also involved with the art of cinema in its nascent stages. He is reputed to have written the intertitles of Madhu Bose's 1928 film Giribala, and is also credited with attempting to direct the early Bengali talkie Notir Puja, made in 1932, based on his own dance drama. Devdas is a classic example of how Sharad Babu's protagonist has fascinated filmmakers not only in Bengal but all over India. Devodash, a novella published in 1917, had a silent version in Bengali made in 1928, directed by Naresh Chandra Mitra and starring Pani Burma. The first widely influential version was directed simultaneously in Hindi and Bengali in 1935 for New Theatres by Prathamesh Barua. Barua cast himself in the lead for the Bengali version, and the legendary playback singing star K.L. Sehgal starred in the extremely popular Hindi version. In 1955, Bimal Roy remade Devdas with Dilip Kumar, Suchitra Sen and Vijayanti Mala, which is considered a landmark in Hindi cinema. Devdas has also been made in Telugu in 1953 and 1974, and in Malayalam in 1989. It has two more Bengali versions directed by Dilip Roy in 1979 and Shakti Samanta in 2002. That same year, Sanjay Leela Bhansali also mounted his opulent version of the film with Shah Rukh Khan, who is present here today, and Aishwarya Rai and Madhuri Dixit. Here then, ladies and gentlemen, is a single example of how a fascinating story of unrequited love emerging from Bengal has fired the imagination time and again of an entire nation. Sharat Chand Chatterjee was indeed the creator of many novels that inspired filmmakers through the years. The author had a strong affinity with the oppression of women in Bengali society, and his natural empathy found a fresh voice in cinema. Majli Didi, made in 1967 by Rishikesh Mukherjee, and Swami, made in 1977 by Basu Chatterjee, are good and credible examples. Choti Bahu, made in 71, is based on his novel Bindur Chele and dwells upon the plight of surrogate motherhood. His classic novel Datta, that focuses on the growing attachment between an affluent Brahmo woman and a penniless but brilliant young man, a Hindu, was adapted into a Bengali film in 1976. Think of the Bengali and Hindi versions of Biraj Bahu and Parinita, or the wonderful Bengali adaptations of his autobiographical work Shrikant, or even Khushbu in Hindi made by Gulzar, which was inspired by his work entitled Pandit Moshai, and you will see a literature's social conscience interpreted time and again on the silver screen. The talkies gave film based on literature a whole new dimension. Dialogue now brought the stories alive for the audience, and the use of song and music heightened the emotional quotient. Throughout the 30s and the 40s, films largely kept to the adaptations of mythological stories or novels by Tagore and Sharat Babu. But blowing through the screen was also a newborn nationalistic fervor mirrored in films like Anand Mat, based on Bankim Chatterjee's immortal novel. This period also witnessed many established writers coming into contact with cinema. In 1929, two journals made their appearance in Bengal dealing exclusively with cinema. One was the Bengali Bioscope, edited by the writer Shailajananda Mukherjee, and the other was Filmland, edited by Chittaranjan Ghosh. Their contributors, surprisingly, included a number of renowned literary figures of the day. Literary periodicals like Bharati and Prabhashi would carry film reviews and general discussions of cinema from time to time. Nach Ghar, a journal devoted to the performing arts, would be quite regular in publishing essays on cinema through writers who were voicing a general concern about film, its social role, moral and aesthetic standards, and patriotic allegiance. A large number of the writers who came from Kallol and Kalikalam group, and these were very aesthetic, almost elitist literary groups of Bengal, were also now directly engaging with the industry. A host of them went on to make careers in films, some joining the industry mainly as actors. It was only natural that more writers would take up cinema for discussion and would, more often than not, touch upon the connection that cinema had or ought to have with literature. The Bandopadhyay trilogy or trinity, Tarashankar, Vibhuti Bhushan and Manik, broke out into a new era of realistic writing style. Vibhuti Bhushan and Manik had long-standing influence on two of the most brilliant directors from Bengal, Satyajit Ray and Ritwik Ghatak respectively. The Apu trilogy is as much a tribute to Ray as to Vibhuti Bhushan Banerjee, and Jalsaghar to the filmmaker as much as to Tarashankar. In fact, a large bulk of Ray's films were adaptations from literature, be it Tagore for Teen Kanya, Charulata and Ghore Baire, his own grandfather's unforgettable Gopi Gayan Bagabayan, or more contemporary works like Mahanagar, based on Narendra Mitra's novel, or Araner Din Ratri and Pratidwandi by Sunil Gangopadhyay.